Welcome everyone. The Bhagvad Gita. So let's continue. We have reached to the point where Krishna is about to speak. After Arjuna puts down his bow and arrow. So this is the yoga of knowledge, Sankhya Yoga, in which Krishna gives Arjun a stern talking to. Shame on you, Arjun. The words were uttered quietly, but there was no mistaking the rebuke in Krishna's tone. Greatest archer in the world, he calls himself. Noblest of warriors, destroyer of foes, most single-minded of men. Ha! The hunched figure on the floor of the chariot refused to be provoked. Instead, Arjun seemed to sink further into himself. Oh, come on! You knew all along what this war was about, whom you were going to fight. You've had enough time to debate the rightness and wrongness of it before the decision to fight was made. You cannot start thinking about it now, when you're already on the battlefield, when your side is depending on you to lead them to victory. Krishna waited, hoping for some kind of reaction. None came. This is completely disgraceful behavior for a warrior, and you know it. There is no honor in running away from battle, and dejection does not suit you. Krishna's voice grew sterner. Enough of that sniveling, Arjuna. Stand up, pick up your bow, and fight a battle worthy of a Pandava prince. Do stop, Krishna, begged Arjun. Do you even realize what you're asking of me? Slaughtering my brothers, murdering my teachers? How can that be noble or right in any universe? Arjun shook his head incredulously. Why? Every holy scripture I have ever read roundly condemns such killing as the most terrible of sins. Every moment of my life beyond such a war will be stained with blood, guilt, and utter despair. Don't you see how? Arjun stopped. His arguments had begun to sound weak and hollow, even to his own ears. For Arjun came from a proud bloodline of fighting men, and both his natural warrior instincts and years of rigorous training had been waiting a lifetime to find expression in a war exactly like this one. Every fiber of his being reaffirmed to him that it would only be the worst kind of coward who ran away from the battlefield, even though fleeing seemed a very tempting proposition, even a noble one at the moment. If he followed his impulse and ran, though, would he be able to live with himself? But the alternative, not running away, staying and fighting and killing of the people most dear to him, was equally terrible to contemplate. Lost in a fog of utter bewilderment, Arjun did what he had always done over the years in such situations. He turned to his closest friend and his wisest mentor, the only one in the world he completely trusted, and placed the dilemma in his hands. I have no answers, Krishna. I cannot see my way forward. You have never let me down before, and I know you will not now. Help me, my friend. Tell me, straight up and without mincing your words, what I should do. There was a pause. Krishna waited, sensing he wasn't quite done yet. A moment later, Arjun lifted his chin defiantly, a touch of the old haughtiness back in the handsome face. Let me clarify one thing, Krishna, before you speak. You know I trust your judgment, but I will need to be fully convinced by your point of view. Otherwise, he looked towards Krishna and locked eyes with Krishna. I will not fight. Well, Krishna smiled. You see, there are lessons to be learned. It's not only okay to be confused, it's a darn good thing. And now that you are confused, don't look outside for help. Look inside. Krishna's smile is an important turning point in the conversation. Krishna is amused at Arjun's attempts to find excuses for his sudden weakness on the battlefield, but pleased that he was finally stopped arguing and accepted that he does not know what to do. There is no shame in admitting that you don't know what's right. In fact, it is the first step to figuring out what is. So how do you figure what's right? Do you ask people around you and listen to anyone who has an opinion and is willing to share it? Absolutely not, says the Gita. Instead, it exhorts you to be like Arjuna. Arjuna knows that if he walks away from the battlefield, his opponents will snigger at him, calling him a coward who got cold feet at the sight of their mighty army. His brothers, wives and children, not to mention his teachers and elders, will be disappointed in him. The army he is supposed to lead will be embarrassed by his desertion and furious at his betrayal, and history will label him a traitor. If he stays and fights, however, everyone will call him a hero and sing his praises, and generations of men to follow will revere him as a great warrior. The fact that Arjun didn't pick the second option is what makes him worthy. It wasn't what other people thought that mattered to him. It was what he himself felt in his own heart. But his heart was completely at war with itself. That's why Arjun made his second good decision. He didn't simply close out one bad option and choose the other, saying, I'll think about the wisdom of it all later, once the war is done. Instead, he decided to resolve his inner conflict right then and there. Never mind how long it took or how inconvenient it would make things for him and possibly everyone else. He simply put his bow down and turned to Krishna for advice. And this is how, so can you. How? Who is Krishna anyway? And where can you find him? In the Gita, which is the holy book of the Hindus, Krishna is portrayed as God himself, and God is portrayed as man's best and closest friend, someone he can talk to about anything, and whose advice, given with love and understanding, he can trust completely. In fact, whenever, Sanjay reports on what Krishna is saying, he refers to him not by name, but as the blessed Lord. If you find the idea of talking to God strange, you can talk instead to your conscience, your own inner voice, which usually knows what's the right thing to do in a given situation. All you need to do is to shut out the deafening, what will others think? I'm weird, I'm a scaredy cat, I'm not cool enough, not fun enough, am I stupid? That fills your head, and you will hear your quiet inner voice giving you the right advice. Try it the next time you're confused about what to do in a tough situation. It may not always be easy to follow that advice. More often than not, it will be very difficult. Obeying your inner voice may not always make you happy or popular or cool at the time, but later you will be content, knowing that it was the right thing to have done, and that's what really counts. Well, next in my upcoming video, that what Krishna had to say to Arjuna. Listeners, do subscribe and share. Thank you so much.